moved to Fort Polk, Louisiana, in September of 2000, and then we go from there.
So that's what I want to talk about next. That's a great segue. 9/11 happens. I was in fourth grade when 9/11 happened. So I guess, 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old at the time. I still remember it like it was, I have vivid memories of 9/11 despite being a kid. Obviously, here you are. You're in the United States military, and this day kind of changes your career in your life in many ways. But I want to start at the root of 9/11. Do you remember where you were and kind of when you realized what was going on?
Yeah, absolutely. I was at Fort Polk, JRTC, where all the infantry units go to exercise the big movements and doctrine and whatnot. The rotation that we were covering down on, it was an infantry unit that was training up to go over to Kosovo. And so we were out working on a checkpoint and watching the guys go through the process and whatnot. And then I get a call over the radio that we needed to head back to the forward operating base, in the box is what they call it. So I immediately got all the guys, told them to get their gear together, and we were heading back. We got back to the FOB there out Fort Polk, and TV was going in the chow hall, and so kind of watched it in person as the planes were flying into the World Trade Center. The first one had already hit. Watched the second one. I remember it was a bit of shock, but also a lot of anger watching.
And did you guys know right away that it was terrorism? Like, because to me, I obviously as a kid had no idea what that even was. How quickly did it take for you guys where you were to be like, oh, this is like, we're at war now. Like, we're fully under attack.
Yeah, I think at the time we didn't know exactly what was going on. Nobody really did. It appeared to be an attack on the United States. And obviously as the day and the events unfolded, it became pretty clear to everyone what was going on. And all I could think about, here I am at Fort Polk, right? And we, back in the 175, we talked about going to war, and there was a little chapel outpost, and we'd always run by and we'd kneel and, let's pray for war. So everybody was hoping for it. But I knew that the guys would probably be mobilized immediately and then over to Afghanistan, which is what they ended up doing. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on Fort Polk, sitting on my hands, hoping I can get involved in.
So that is what I want to get into now. So you're hoping to get in on the action. What paths do you think you have in front of you? What takes you from being at Fort Polk to joining, a special unit as part of the Army Special Operations?
Yeah, I mean, the first step was, I was going through my mind, I was like, hey, can I get back to first range of attack? That was the initial thought. And then as the days and the weeks progressed, I saw an ad in the newspaper, the Post newspaper on Fort Polk, that the recruiters for the Special Mission Unit were coming to town. I'd known about that unit when I was in First Ranger Battalion, so I had some understanding and very little knowledge of it. But it was always a place that everyone in the Ranger Regiment kind of aspired to go to. I was newly married, about a year and a half at the time. My wife has no military background. Not a lot of people in her family that are having military background. So, we had a quick conversation, and I was like, hey, babe, there's this unit I'd like to try out for. It would require us to go to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. What do you think? And very naive. Wife, she'd just been married for a year and a half. She's like, well, I'll stand by my man, and support him in whatever you want to do. And so the recruiters came into town December 2001. I did all of the testing, physical testing and whatnot. And then in January of 2002, I got my letter, and I thought I was accepted to go to that.
I got to ask, because I'm curious. So you're in the Rangers now. You've been out of the Rangers for a little bit, and now you're going through selection for an elite tip of the spear kind of unit. Were you confident you were going to be able to screen and get in, or when you got there and there's all these people who want to be part of this small team, were you kind of like, man, maybe I'm not as cut out for this as I was hoping? Like, what was your confidence level like?
To be honest, I wasn't very confident that I would make it. I was confident in my own abilities. Sure, there was a lot of unknowns at the time. I just knew that I was, I needed to try and try my hardest. A lot of the guys, I was pretty young. I think I was about 25 years old when I started that whole process. A lot of people were telling me that I was very young, lacked experience and whatnot. So it was a bit of a surprise when I actually completed the sergeant.
When you, oh, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.